News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Welcome to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning.
I'm Allan Gilbreth with darkcookmedia.com.
And I'm Maximilian with a holiday that actually has much more symbolism than you think. I want to wish you a very happy Towel Day.
Towel Day? How is that symbolic,
I
Max?
was hoping you were going to go for Towel Day.
I
don't get the
We're going to
symbolism.
have to wait.
It
But you'll
seems
just
very
see it.
practical, and, we all need one, but okay. This will be interesting. I think that's something we should unpack shortly, Max. So, okay. Happy Towel Day. Don't know how to react to that one, Allan.
I do.
Okay,
You should
good.
always know where your towel is.
Absolutely. So if you want to weigh in on that, that's just one of the points of action today. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. We also invite you to watch the show. It looks like the lights are on, Max. So you can watch the show at the News Talk 98.9 The Roar's Facebook page and the News Talk 98.9 The Roar's X page. And we also invite you to go over to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page and check out the posts. I was in the middle of posting something right before the mics went on, Allan, so I've got two more posts to make. So if you're eagerly standing by wondering what those are, just hang tight. Maybe at the commercial break I'll get the next one. So, Max, well, of course, it is Memorial Day weekend. I feel like that takes precedent, right? And so while you're out barbecuing and doing whatever you're doing, take a moment to, thank our great veterans.
Thank somebody for their service. Absolutely.
Yep. So, Max, we have a lot on the table. We're going to, let's see, in our great moments in building history, I'm excited about this. Allan is moderately excited. There's a lot of good things we can discuss about this, Allan. It's the 100-year anniversary of the Hanshin Koshien Stadium, right, Max?
Hanshin Koshien Stadium.
In Japan. It is the oldest baseball stadium in Japan, but there's a lot of really good home improvement lessons you can learn about this, and also effective building. They built this thing in 5 months.
Well,
they don't fool around in Japan.
the thing that I will utterly agree with is they knew how to build this baby.
Yeah. So there's a lot. And because I know anything to do with baseball or what, Allan's not going to lean in too heavily, but, it's a worthy conversation. We've got our must-have item of the week. Allan's week in review could get out of hand. It sounds like you did about 80 things. So
it was a wild week.
We have I had one of the best. I had one of the best meetings I've ever had with a code enforcement agent of Shelby County. Those aren't always fun, interactions or anything. But we're going to talk about that, and then maybe expand on the conversation, Allan, and talk about code enforcement, and if you're doing a home improvement project versus doing a commercial project, maybe some of the things to think about and how to make it go smoothly.
Remember, they are not the enemy.
Yeah. And
they are not.
And if we have time, I had a Critter Wars. It was me versus an ant, and the ant won.
Awesome.
We'll explain that in a minute. But we got a lot. And, of course, like we said, we'd love to talk to you. You can get in touch with us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline, 901-683-0989. And speaking of that, Max, we've got somebody on hold, right?
Correct.
Okay, and I hope she's there. Okay, I'm hoping we're going to be talking to Kate Robinson. Kate, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, good morning, Kate. Well, Kate, I met.
Hi.
This is sort of, Allan. We're big supporters of the arts here.
Yes.
We're all about improving the community and getting young people involved in making the community better and in the arts. And I was driving home. I was driving back to work from lunch, and Kate, I saw you and a bunch of students doing some. You were painting a mural over at Cooper and Central. And it really, that caught my attention because, like I said, we're all about promoting the arts, making the city look better. And it was kind of an educational experience for me because I've never really known what goes into making a mural. And so, Kate, you're the one that spearheaded this. And I was wondering if you could tell our listeners a little bit about why you did this, how it came about, and all that. So, was this your brainchild?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
So in 2014, my mom originally did these murals at the underpass, and she organized them. She worked with U of M students to paint them. And over the years, they've just become run down. And last year, we would drive by, and I'd always be like, someone should fix that. Someone should fix that. So I just took the opportunity, and I went ahead and I created this. So at Crosstown, my high school, we can kind of lead these project-based classes.
Nice.
And I went ahead and I pitched one to the head of our school, and it became a class. And now we're coming to the end of it. And it has also become a class that's going to be repeated and continued over the years.
Oh, that's cool. Wait, so I didn't realize you're getting credit for that too.
Yeah.
Oh, this is very cool. But Kate, I'm just going to tell you, I hope you maintain the spirit your whole life, because Allan, how many times have we seen it? Well, hopefully somebody's going to fix this. Hopefully somebody, and well, you might have to be the person that does it. So step up,
Absolutely. All right. So you said your mother originally painted these murals?
She organized them.
Organized these with Memphis State. And so all the years later, you look at it and said, hey, somebody needs to fix this. And then you went, let's go ahead and get it fixed.
Right.
That is fantastic.
And so, Kate, I'm okay. We've seen murals all over town, and when they're well done, they're cool. They add so much personality to a building. I have to imagine a private building, Allan, is much easier than this is a public space. So,
right.
Who was your first? Well, for one thing, Kate, who had to give you permission to do this?
So it's railroad-owned property, and since it was already painted over before and the railroad let them paint it over, all I really needed to do was reach out to the last artist and get their permission to paint over their work.
Oh, okay. Didn't think of that. And how does an artist feel when you call them and saying, okay, well, I hate to say, because, they could say, well, can I go over and fix it up? But maybe there's just a sense of, okay, let's turn a corner and let a new artist have a shot. Or were they pretty nice about it?
Yeah, in our case, since it was already covered in graffiti and just like trying to fix the graffiti, it was all kind of ruined, and they were very open to letting us come and re-beautify it.
That's awesome.
Now, I'm curious about this, Kate, because it's not like you just show up with a bunch of paint and get to work. You've got to design this thing in advance, right? And you got to agree to the design. How does that work? Like, what was that process like?
We, as the class of students, we each kind of created our own little mini mural, and then as a group, we kind of put all those mini murals into this big mural. So it all incorporates each of our work, and we came up with the We Can Do Better, the main theme of it, with one of the tags that was on the last murals. It was a graffiti tag, and we wanted to keep that idea going of We Can Do Better. And we kind of just came up with the design and sketched it out, and then gridded it up onto the wall.
Now, that's interesting, because we've been hearing that a lot, Allan. The We Can Do Better. That's sort of a community rallying cry. And so I didn't realize that. You took something that some graffiti guy just slapped up there, and you're like, okay, well, you know what? We can't. And you made your piece centered around that. It's real positive. Yeah. It looks cool. And you also did the other side, and it just says Midtown, right? But then there's details inside that, right?
Yeah, there's little stencils inside of that, which we had a community fundraiser event where people could come out and stencil whatever they wanted in those letters. It's
cool. It looks great. So, hey, I don't know what the finished product looked like. Did you all finish it? I saw you Friday.
We're hoping to finish it today, actually.
Okay, cool. So if people want to drive by, you all were very friendly about answering questions and checking it out. But yeah, if you want to meet the artists that are doing this good work around town, and Kate, like I said, I hope you'll keep this attitude, and I hope you'll do keep this sense of service. It's really good for the community for us to see this, and I love the message too. I just think it's great. So how do people follow this if they want to follow your adventures and support this?
So we have an Instagram account. The tag is at XTH Community Murals.
Okay, the letter X, XTH, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's all the updates go on there.
Instagram and everything like that. So.
Yep.
Okay. Well, Kate, we sure appreciate it. And so whoever the teacher was or the principal that approved this, we sure appreciate what you've done. So tell them how much we thank them for this. So, but Kate, thanks again, and we're going to be following your career with great interest.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. All right, there you go, Allan. Very good. It's just I drove by, and it just was one of those things that struck me. I said, I got to go back and talk to these guys, and I'm really glad I did, man. So,
as we have always known, and we're getting to appreciate in pretty much every big city, art makes a city.
Absolutely.
And the more people that get involved, the more people will drive by that proudly.
Yeah.
Because, everybody involved and their families has got to drive by and point at it and go, Sue did that, Bob did that, Gary did that, Michael did that. Everybody loves that connection.
You know what else you appreciate? It's just it's a cool intersection too. So go to the intersection of Central and Cooper if you want to go meet the artist today. So, all right, Allan, very good. It's a feel good way to kick off the show. When we come back, we have another feel good story all about code enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan. News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Okay. Yeah, follow up the feel-good story with that weird whatever. Thanks, Max. Thanks for... anyway. Welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and the befuddling Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And just like we had, and if you're just tuning in, you missed a great conversation we had with one of the students of Crosstown High School, Kate Robinson, who did her and her whole crew did a really nice mural over there. And Kate, we thank you again for your community outreach and making this city a better place. So, all right. And if you're just tuning in, you don't realize that in addition to Memorial Day weekend, today is actually National Towel Day.
It's just Towel Day. Okay. Towel Day period. Towels know no borders.
All right. So what is this all about, Max? We didn't get a chance to unpack that. So.
Well, at the same time, it celebrates the versatility of the towel, but also it celebrates a man by the name of Douglas Adams.
I didn't know that. Okay.
This is celebrated 2 weeks after his death in 2001 on May 11th due to a heart attack. It is a geek holiday, and that is because to salute in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Adams frequently wrote about the versatility and the usefulness of the towel. And so always have a towel on hand because you never know, as an intergalactic hitchhiker, stellar traveler, when you might need it.
Allan, okay, far be it for me to segue into a discussion about science fiction or anything, but if you want a real unique take in science fiction, read Douglas Adams.
Yes.
The guy zeroes in on the most bizarre, and he takes angles nobody else would ever think of taking. And I could see him celebrating a towel.
Well,
we all need them. And
it's amazing because he amazingly segues into urban planning.
Yeah.
He segues into going to segue over to your experience because the entire story unfolds with the local authority there to knock down his house.
Oh, right, yeah.
The whole adventure begins because of, strange urban planning. So,
that's the heart of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. They're going to destroy Earth because they need to make way for an intergalactic travel
bypass.
Right. Okay.
So, his house, Earth, and everything else. And you are correct. Of all of his work centers around very oddly mundane things.
Oh, yeah.
Very
Starship Titanic
ideas.
is a classic, and I bet you nobody's ever heard of that one. That's
no, my phone will argue with you on that.
Okay.
My phone is already blown up.
All right.
Max, we already had someone on the text line, 2 texts, so long and thanks for all the fish.
There you go. Who was that? Man?
Angel.
Of course.
Angel.
So, Max, here's a related question for you. Why is the answer to life, the universe, and everything 42?
Tell me.
All righty. of in the computer world, and I'm actually going to tie this completely back into home improvement.
Yeah, I wonder how you're
Hey,
going to
how
do
am I
that.
going to get there from here? Okay, anybody that has a computer at home and you've ever done a search for anything, the character that you use for a wild card search is the little star.
Yeah.
Well, in computer code, in ASCII code, code number 42 is the wild card search.
That's the answer? I
Well,
thought it'd be more exciting than that.
No,
So, no.
well, it's a computer. It's computer stuff, Joe.
Okay.
It doesn't have a baseball attached to it.
Well, I mean, Jackie Robinson was number 42. I thought there
Well,
was
you
something
know,
to do with that.
I was going to let that simmer for a minute.
Okay.
But yes, so the answer can be strange and unusual things, and we tie all of that back to, why would National Towel Day or International Towel Day have anything to do with your home? And the simple fact that this entire story was really about getting into your world and your lifestyle.
Okay.
And we just had this lovely young people on painting murals on the walls, making their world better. And that is the entire message
Of what? Towel Day?
of Douglas Adams' work was to make your world better and enjoy it.
Wait, okay. We're getting way out of. How does this relate to towels?
Because because of the fact that the towels are highly mentioned in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and so to pay homage to a little subtle detail that Adams included in his work, everyone carries towels around for the day.
Okay, all right. Well, I mean, you can't go wrong with that. A towel is a great
There's
invention.
a towel in the back of my truck right now.
And they are about the best. I mean, because there's a huge difference between just a rag and a towel. And I mean, the absorbent whoever came up with the whole fuzzy thing, and then there's the materials it's made of. It's the whole, okay. Well, I guess we can get behind that. So it's just Towel Day though. It's no national, no whatever.
No borders.
Okay. All right, boy, I'm really thrown off for that. But all right, well, Max, I don't know that we have I don't know that this falls under a Tool Tales. I don't think it does, but I wanted to share an experience I had actually yesterday. And also maybe expand on the conversation, Alan, because it's interesting. I deal with code enforcement on a residential level.
Right.
You deal with it on a commercial level, but there's still the same kind of, whatever.
It's the same
dynamic.
Yeah, it's
but,
the same people. Yes.
So, folks, if you've been listening to Tool Talk for a while, you know that I've been in the middle of I do remodeling, I do addition. I mostly do outside projects these days. I just prefer those. I like to build decks and patio covers. So this particular project in Midtown has been really fun, and it's just really nice people that I'm working for. And I built them. They have a home that was built in 1929, and off the back of it, we had to pour new concrete. I didn't pour it, and new concrete. And I'm building a laundry room and a really massive 2-car carport.
Okay.
And well, all the framing and a lot of the exterior, the siding is up, Alan, and it was time to get my framing inspection.
Right.
And there's a lot there too. There's load bearing situation. You know how that is. And the inspector, the Shelby County code enforcement, I want to give him hats off. His name was Mark. He was right on time. I mean, He was punctual as can be. And this was the smoothest encounter I've ever had with code enforcement. Let's just put it that. I was expecting, I'm going to get a punch list of check this, do that, do whatever, but it was pretty satisfying. I mean, he was looking over everything, and it went great. He made one comment about the diameter of the anchors that I used in the floor plates, but I used so many that it offset that whatever. And
right.
So I got signed off. I got it approved. I got everything knocked out. But I also think there were things that maybe over the years I've learned that helped me with the process. So
right.
I wanted to talk about that. For one thing, folks, I cleaned up the entire job site before he got there.
Yes.
All the tools were sitting where they need to be. There weren't big piles of, debris.
Rubble
and
everywhere.
What do you think of that? I mean, that probably makes I guess you just want to look professional, basically.
Well, you get into what I like to call performance versus appearance.
Talk to me.
You can do the most fabulous job in the world.
Right.
But if you don't highlight it or demonstrate it a little bit, people miss it. So so especially for you and I both. So we're both gonna compare job sites.
Right.
I deal with inspections from the federal level all the way down to the local level.
Yeah, you're commercial and healthcare and everything else.
Oh my gosh, yes.
a lot of
Everything
nitpicky
from
stuff.
HIPAA all the way down. So here we go. Look at a code enforcement inspection as your perfect chance to show off and get an A.
Now that's a good way to put it. It's like taking an exam, studying for the exam.
It's
or
like
something.
you took an exam and the teacher gave it back to you and said, all right, you're at a B now.
Mhm.
I need you to get to an A. And this is what I need you to fix.
Well,
And that is
I wanna
the
say one
best
thing.
way to look at code
I
enforcement.
want to say one thing. And in all my years of dealing with these guys, I will say that I don't think, without exception, because I think people have false ideas about like the IRS or code enforcement or some, like they think they're going to come in there and just shut down this whole project and ruin it. They're there to help you and they're there to make sure that everything's done correctly, but they're not the bad guys,
Well,
And so, I mean, they will work with you if you.
All right.
you know.
The reason we have code enforcement is something somewhere somehow went horribly wrong. If you just want to know the whole basic idea of their job, of why do we do the things we do? Well, it's because, let's start in Memphis. We're in the South. It's hot. It's humid. We have water. We have clay soil. We're in an earthquake zone. We're also on the edge of tornadoes, and so welcome to just nature trying to get rid of you
Right.
out of the gate. But we want to build a house or we want to build a building. Well, that's reason we have code enforcement, because right there, if you don't make that slab thick enough, it's going to break.
Right.
If you don't put those pipes deep enough, they're going to freeze.
Yeah.
If you don't have that roof at the proper pitch, it's not going to work.
Right.
So welcome to why we have codes. And then the one that just always just frost my Cheerios is when people try to get slick about pipes, closures, and electricity.
What do you mean?
Well, we've been in this business a long time. I go back to the 70s and 80s on this, and you always had somebody on there going, do it this way. They'll never notice.
Mm-hmm.
All right. If this way
They're
is
gonna notice.
actually correct,
Yeah.
then I don't care.
Right.
But not doing it correctly means somebody is going to have to now tear all this out and fix it.
And if they see
Whether it's now or 10 years from now.
If they see a problem like that, they're going to start looking even closer. So they're going to find all the other things. So
anything and everything.
So there's a little more to say about this because we want to find out the nightmares Allan goes through with code enforcement. But no, it's all good stuff. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
This is getting out of hand. Now there are two of them.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Yeah, I notice how Max leaves himself out of the equation.
Oh, that's all
typical.
right.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning. Here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. Remember, you can call, text, and send pictures. I mean, it's a good opportunity to do that. And if they're tasteful and interesting, and we'll put them up on our Facebook page. But also, one thing, we always love hearing your home improvement triumphs, or if you've bought a really cool tool or something, send us a picture and we'll put it up. We like to showcase that. But Allan, for people that are just tuning in, they should know we had a really cool conversation with Kate Robinson from Crosstown High School, and they're in the middle of completing a mural that's going to be in Midtown today, and people have been asking about the location.
Yep,
So
they're going to be doing the underpass part of the overpass at Cooper and Central.
right.
So what a great project. Absolutely. If you happen to be driving by, wave to them, say hi. get involved. It's an amazing project. Also, I need to point out that over at Memphis National Cemetery, this morning is the Memorial Day flag placement ceremony, and News Talk 98.9 is going to be there as well.
Is Ditch going to be there? I bet you anything he will. So,
well, just a little interesting fact over there. Memphis National has the largest number of unknowns of any national cemetery.
Yeah.
I think the number's like 8,366 or something like that.
It's
so
impressive.
It should be pretty close. So
it's impressive when you go over there, and it's very sobering. And I would say when your kids are at the right age, take them over there and visit, and just let them walk the grounds and get an appreciation, because we don't have a country without these guys.
It is absolutely it's a stunning. I love the stunning presentation they have there at National Cemetery.
Yeah.
So it's a fabulous tribute to those who have served and fallen, and is also, like you said, it's a great civic thing to do with your kids.
Yeah, and I would say too, if you're ever out there and you see any men and women in uniform, it's always kind of cool to just thank them. Believe me, they appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. So. And our station manager, Ditch, is there.
Okay, so I kind of figured he would be. So.
It kind of reminds me of our buddy John Covington from Rescue 901. He always signs off by saying, if you see a first responder, say a prayer for them, give them a thumbs up, and thank them for their service.
Yeah. I don't think it doesn't make an impression, too. It does. So, especially when you get young people do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, in a minute, hey, Max, I guess we got a text. We'll get to that in a minute. It seems like it ties in perfectly with our discussion about code enforcement. But you know who else is very intimately involved with code enforcement, because they have to be.
Oh, yes.
They work with very highly calibrated and technical systems, and that's our good buddies, Larry Brown and Brown Refrigeration. You know, we had Larry on last week, and as we said, there's a big change coming. Well, it's a big I don't know what you want to call it. It's a big moment in refrigerator.
No, it's a big
HVAC.
change. We can call it almost a geographic shift, because we have a new refrigerant coming.
January 1st, 2025, which is right around the corner, there is a new refrigerant being introduced. Well, and you might say, well, so what? Well, it changes the game. It changes the landscape of how HVAC systems are going to be built. And we don't want you to panic, but we just want you to also be aware. And Larry Brown and the whole team at Brown Refrigeration, they've they've been planning for this. This is what they do. They are not just, they're not just thinking about today. They're thinking about what things are going to be like in 5 years. And that's why they have such a great business culture, and that's why they've been so successful, because this is what they do. They are always at the cutting edge of HVAC technology, and they also want your unit to last, and that's why they put so much emphasis into maintaining your system, and to coming out and visiting once or twice a year to look over your system, do a little tune-up like you would with your vehicle, and keep it running at maximum efficiency. They always work with Train products and the Remy Halo systems, because those are the best way to keep your HVAC system running well. And also ductworks. Don't forget about getting your ductworks clean. And also what's great about this, Allan mentioned this last week, is you can control all of these systems with your smart home technology right from your phone, man. It's pretty awesome. You say, I want to cool off the house. I'm at work right now. I'm going to be home in an hour. Boom.
There you go. It's stunning that the amount of times we say there's an app for that.
Oh, yeah.
Now.
There's an app for
amazing.
Everything. Yep, for Brown Refrigeration, everything they do, we love the work they do. They are reliable. They're rock solid, and they are the company you should call for all your HVAC needs. You can get in touch with them at 901-362-1881 and go to their website, brownref.com. All right, hey Max, we got a text. You said
about time. Agent 732 finally texted us again.
Yeah, where have they been? Or he. Well, we know it's a he now. So where has he been?
Well,
anyway.
I don't know.
Okay.
Probably busy, doing something better with their time. Anyways.
Okay.
My father was a code enforcer for years. He would occasionally get threatened and would always say, you could get rid of me, but they're just going to send someone else.
Now, I happen to know a little bit more, because we've uncovered more information about Agent 732. I happen to know that Agent 732 grew up in the New Jersey area, right?
No,
It's probably a different. I'm sure it's different than it is here in. I mean, but I could see it being a little more street level there. But getting threatened, I don't like the sound of that.
Well, again, I go back to as long as you and I have both been in the business. I mean, I started working on my first restaurant in 1978.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So I mean, don't do the math, folks. It'll make your head hurt.
Okay.
We're building a nightclub, we're building a restaurant, we built all these amazing places, and over the years, the bad habits that would accumulate from the previous generation, so a lot of the people stepping out of the business when I was getting in had been building since the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, and there was a lot of, as we would like to say, they closed the door.
What do you mean bad habits, though? Like they would just...
it's just, that's how we used to do it, but that's not how we do it now.
Codes are always
Codes
they're
are
always
constantly
developing,
being upgraded,
right? Because they learn things, and they're like, well, you know what? If you don't do this fire retardant stuff here, you're gonna have a whatever down the road. Yeah, so there's reasons you would improve.
Well, one of the big things that nobody really paid attention to for hundreds of years was fire caulk, and what this is just on the surface, it seems like a very petty thing to be picking on. All right, well, we've had a little gap around a pipe for the last 300 years. Well, on further investigation, this is a great way to burn down your house, because if you got a little fire started here, it can chimney through that hole and go up into the attic, and you can lose the whole property.
Right.
But if you had stuffed 45 cents worth of fire caulk in that little spot, well, when heat hit it, it swelled up and didn't let smoke, heat, or fire through to the attic.
It makes perfect sense.
And gave your fire department an extra hour to get there and respond. But this was not code in 1977 or 87 or even 97.
Right.
But it's code now.
Right.
So that's what I mean by accumulated bad habits of the past and not keeping up with the codes. And your code enforcement officers are there to meet the standards.
Right.
And, it's kind of like going down to Florida back in the 50s. We weren't using hurricane ties and stuff like that. And sure enough, guess what? Your building blew down.
Right, right.
So now we even use hurricane ties in Memphis. And this is my funny story from this year. We had a code enforcement inspection, and they looked at us and said, it's gonna be code. You don't have to do it immediately, but it's gonna be code, and you might as well go ahead and put the strapping in now.
Right. Yeah.
And the first thought in my mind was, oh my goodness, where are we in Jacksonville? We don't have hurricanes here. And then
till you get one. Yeah.
Then in my brain I went, but 2 days ago we had 2 tornadoes right through here.
Yeah, the house doesn't care whether it's a hurricane or a tornado.
And I got over myself really quickly and went, okay, we're putting in strapping.
And we had Hurricane Elvis. I mean, we do get fast winds.
We get straight line winds. We get hard weather. But I had to catch myself with that legacy thinking of, well, we never had to do this before. But that doesn't mean it's not a great idea to do it now.
And I'll tell you this, too. If you play games like that with codes, if you're a builder, or if you're somebody that's in the trades and you just think, well, I'm going to try to, it's hard to sleep at night with that kind of thing. The one peaceful thing is if you do the work really well, they sign off, there's peace of mind.
You can say somebody else gave me an A on my test.
Right.
And now I can look at my client and say, hey, we done good. They said we done good.
Yeah. And it's in writing, and
boom.
And it's a good way to protect yourself, because down the road. But no, I mean, the code enforcement, they're there generally to help you, but it's a two-way street. You have to kind of put an effort in, and I'm sure it's the same way with commercial properties.
Well, you got to put on a good show.
Right.
I mean, honestly, and what I mean by that is clean up the work, clean up the job site, show a little respect. Have what they need to see open.
Yeah, like, why are you hiding that over there? If you're hiding it, that's a red flag.
If they're here to look at the framing, make sure they can see that framing.
Absolutely. So, pretty good stuff. We'll probably have a few parting thoughts on that. And then, boy, it's going to take a while, but we're going to find out what Allan did this week.
Oh, no.
You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Hey, Nelson, he's really hurt. I think he broke his leg. I said, ha ha.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Max has a real cruel streak in him, I have to say. So, okay. For a peace-loving, guy, Max, you're a little sick, twisted sense of humor. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. There's a lot to weigh in on. This is Memorial Day weekend. Today is also National Towel Day.
Towel Day.
It's Towel Day, which is, just celebrate by using a towel. I imagine everybody in the country will celebrate in some way today.
Especially since it's like good weather for pooling.
Absolutely. We also, if you're out and about today, especially if you're in the Midtown area, head on over to the corner of Cooper and Central. And at the underpass there, you'll see a really cool mural being completed today by the Crosstown High School students, doing a great job over there. We spoke to Kate Robinson, one of the head artists over there, and we thank them for what they're doing for the community and keep up the great work. So, okay. So, Allan, we were, I guess we had just a couple of closing thoughts about code enforcement. When it comes to the homeowner, though, because a lot of us aren't dealing with the commercial end of it or anything, I would say another thing is don't assume anything. And I don't care if you think you're going to be a pest or whatever, because call them and ask them questions and get information on the front end, because, there are people, you can do projects yourself. If you want to build a deck or something, you don't necessarily have to hire somebody, but you better build it to code, right? I mean,
exactly. And the other thing
don't
is,
wait till the end to find out you did this one thing wrong, and it.
Well, and you also have zoning laws. You got HOAs, and you also have a zoning commission.
Mm-hmm.
So before you haul off and go hire somebody to pour concrete for you or something like that, go ask some questions. Find out.
Yeah, can you pour it here?
And maybe you can do this, but you can only do it 9x12. You can't do it 12x16.
Right.
Well, is 9x12 going to get what you want done? Well, it might.
Right.
There's just so many little things that you can save yourself so much stress on.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but sometimes the piece of property that you currently own is insufficient for what you want to do, and you better find that out now before you spend money.
Yeah, exactly. And don't just say, well, we're just going to do this. Nobody's going to notice. Somebody at some point is going to notice. Your homeowners association is going to notice. They're going to, and there's all sorts of interesting rules you find out. You're like, well, I can't have a shed taller than 15 feet in my neighborhood. I can't have a thing this color. I can't have this thing 40 feet. It has to be more than 40 feet from the curb. Well, there's all these rules.
Now, let me also point out the big gotcha. Mm-hmm. Your insurance company can take a picture of your place from outer space anytime they want.
That's a really good point,
You snuck in a pool and didn't tell anybody. Oh, they'll find it. You built that shed back there that nobody knows about. Oh, they'll find it.
And when you go to sell your house.
Well, now you really get into problems because, but we have a mother-in-law suite in the back. Yeah, but it's unlicensed. Yeah. It's illegal.
Right.
So this wonderful thing you spent all this time, effort, and money on might have to get tore down.
Yeah, no, it went on to sound, doom and gloom, but it's like
it's better to know up front.
Just know up front, and
just
plus,
better to know.
The other thing is, like I said, they're there to help. They'll give you a lot of advice. They'll say, you know what, I can save you a little trouble if you do this, this, or this. So just talk to people. Don't be sneaky. Do it the right way.
Do it the right way.
Okay. Well, talking about not being sneaky and doing things the right way, let's find out what Allan did this week.
Oh, the humanity.
So it was kind of funny in our show prep. You know, we always are comparing notes, and it's like, well, Allan, what do we got for this week in review? You sent me like 8 things. I said, Allan, it's a 2-hour show. What can you pick and choose? But it doesn't sound like there was any rhyme or reason to your jobs this week. You said every week takes on a theme. This one's theme was chaos, I guess.
You know, it probably was. That's a best way to look at it. Well, one facility, of course, it's spring. We always love to talk about our critter wars.
Yeah.
You know, just driving by a facility, there were honestly, Joe, and I didn't get the picture in time. I got the picture of him poking his head out looking at me.
Oh, geez.
But there were 2 squirrels actually stretched out on the roof sunbathing. I mean, they were just on the
Is
French
that what they were doing?
Riviera.
I mean, that's what they do.
And when they saw the camera, one of them ran around the corner and the other one ducked in and stuck his head back out the hole.
So they just went right into their hiding spot. They made no pretense.
They weren't even trying to hide it. It's kind of like, look, we drove a hole right here. We're opening condos. So I had to stop by and go give the picture to the maintenance director of the building and go, dude, you need to go check the corner of your building.
So the squirrels pretty much said your move.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They were chilled.
You just made me think of something because, I'm knock on wood. Jay Hill, ever since he installed our new roof 2.5 years ago, we have not had any squirrels get in our house because we have a brick house.
Right.
They were getting in near the soffit. Jay solved that problem, but it occurred to me, Allan. Okay, they may have an entrance over here, but they also might have an exit over there.
Oh yeah.
You think you plugged it, but they might have 4 or 5 ways to get in, right? So don't just assume that you plugged that one hole that you solved the problem. So
you got to watch for the little devils. I guess the biggest thing of my week was kind of a weird twist in the fact that I ended up looking at several older houses for basically people complaining of backache.
Now, what is that all
Here
about?
we go.
How do we get a connection from backache to...
Well,
okay.
All right. Everybody has a computer.
Okay, now I know where you're
But
going.
not everybody has a home laid out for a computer.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say things like, quit using the computer on the couch. You're killing yourself.
Yeah.
Quit using the computer at the dining room table. You're killing yourself. There are ergonomics here that you really need to pay attention to because, honestly, I was at a friend's house and she was propped on a cushion on the floor like the cat.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, I know why your neck hurts now. Stop. You look like a swan bent over trying to catch a fish. This is where I'm going to say you really need to look at proper ergonomics for yourself and your home, because a house built in the 50s never imagined computers, video games. They never imagined the modern world. The
Sitting for
place.
hours in one position
Yes.
with your neck.
Oh my gosh.
That's not good for your spine.
So this weighed in very heavily for me, and I was thinking about this for Tool Talk, and I was like going, really having the proper furniture and the proper ergonomics for yourself is drastically important today because your house really wasn't built for it. You weren't built for it. This is how come we have stuff like back pain and carpal tunnel and all that nonsense.
You've just triggered me, Allan. This is a whole area. This is okay. You know how you told me that people pay you to go to home,
Yes.
to the big box store with them and things like that. Well, here you go. This is how to design your home with preventative medicine involved. That's why you have these cushion things at the sink, because you're standing there doing dishes for 30 minutes, and why not have it where it's relieving the pain in your feet and your knee?
Exactly.
Why have the such and such at this height? Why not have it at the proper height? Why not have your it's a good point, because you want everybody in the home sitting up straight and having good posture and being comfortable. And not destroying their knees and their hips and everything else.
Well, you're married. You have children. Is everybody in your house the same height?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
No, they're not. I happen to know one of your children is
they're
quite a bit
than
taller than you.
Yeah.
So, when you start looking at the ergonomics of your home, and the biggest thing is it really comes down to a computer, because we all spend a shocking amount of time on our phones. I don't even think it's a phone anymore.
No,
we
it's
talk
a mini
on a computer.
Right.
It's a computer. We work from home. We do everything from home. I'm like, really shockingly, because the two homes I was in this week, looking at this, was like, okay, all right, we got to rearrange this whole room, because you've basically built yourself an obstacle course of death, because you got these weird chairs that don't meet the needs. You've got stuff propped over here and stuff laid out over there, and we just got to make this work for you.
Yeah, when you got bad posture and everything, it messes up your circulation. It's not a good thing. So ergonomics, that's a pretty good conversation. So we're going to talk a little more about that and then find out what else Allan did this week on Tool Talk Radio.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning. Here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. It's a good day to do it. First of all, it's Memorial Day weekend. We hope everybody's going to get out there and enjoy themselves, but also take time to celebrate the holiday appropriately. There's a lot of great stuff going on locally, especially if you go over to the Forest Hill, what is it called? The Veteran Cemetery over there.
National
Forest
Cemetery,
Hill,
Memphis National Cemetery, yeah.
Beautiful tribute over there, and it's a really, sobering and really thought-provoking space to go to. So take some time to, thank our veterans and everything on Memorial Day. Also, today's it's just called Towel Day. I hope everybody has when they're using their towel, they remember what great invention it's been for
the sacrifice of Douglas Adams.
Yeah, I guess, whatever. So, Allan, before the break, we were talking about something interesting, and I feel like maybe we should unpack this in a future conversation. You were talking about home ergonomics, and sometimes we put more thought into when it comes to designing our homes in terms of, well, I love the look of that couch, or I like that this design. I like the way this looks. Well, it might be destroying our knees or our backs or our posture or whatever. And ergonomic considerations have to be taken into account. I think that's a whole other area of home improvement that maybe we need to lean into in the future. So,
well, and again, I'll pick on you a little bit. You changed out the purpose of a room to change, to better fit how you live.
Yeah.
I found this week, I just kept running into people that were building their own obstacle courses. So my parting
ruining the feng shui.
Yeah, my parting advice on this is buy a really good chair.
Yeah.
Stop using the wrong thing. Stop hurting your back, your hips, and your neck.
I'll say this in my own,
because we can unpack this a lot more later.
Well, I mean, and we have so much technology. We have so many the improvements that have been made in all these areas. Why not take advantage of it? I'll tell you this. I bought, I have my work shoes that I use. I bought a pair of, what are those, foam inserts, like the memory. It's $25. That's the best $25 I've ever spent.
Oh, yeah.
Every day I'm walking, I'm like, why didn't I do this years ago? And we have that all over our home. We have chairs. We have parts of our floor. We have things that could be improved and make us healthier, actually, at the same time.
So much, a big difference to your lifestyle.
Just make you happier too. So, all right. So we'll be doing that in the future. That's an ongoing conversation. But let's shift gears, Allan.
And I, for one, welcome our new insect overlords. I'd like to remind them that as a trusted TV personality, I can be helpful in rounding up others to toil in their underground sugar caves.
It's an oddly appropriate soundbite you got there, Max. So, but Allan, okay, so this is not really a war. This was, I guess this was an encounter.
Okay.
All right. Well, Allan, I'm the kind of person, I'm not gonna, especially if we're outside. I don't necessarily, if I have a bug that's in my way, or whatever, I don't necessarily want to squish it. I just want to get them out of my way, so I can do my thing and they could do theirs. Well, I was cutting, some wood, and I needed to put the wood up, and there was a big ant right there on the board. So my instinct is, I'm not going to smash it, or I'm not going to whatever.
Right.
You do that, you blow it. You give them a quick whatever, and that blasts them off the board. They go wherever they're going to go. Well, this ant was resistant to that. It like clamped in, and I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "I didn't blow hard enough." I kept doing. It was 3 or 4, and then it turned into this thing of like, okay, well, he was on the side of the board that was going up against the house. So if he doesn't get off, he's getting squished.
Right.
And then the humanitarian in me is like, well, I got to get rid of this ant, but he's not getting off the board by traditional means. What now? And so I got a little paper towel, and I started scooting him. And he moved a little, but he was clamped in. He didn't move. It was a real chore. I got a little brush and dislodged his thing. I eventually got him off. And this ant, he was fighting tooth and nail to not get off. And I guess the bigger question for me, what had occurred to me, Allan, was I believe ants are like super creatures. And I had sort of an odd question for you.
Well, they outnumber humans.
They outnumber us by billions, right?
They got us number-wise,
How big do you think an ant? How big do you think ants would have to be before they could literally dominate the entire world? Like, if an ant was the size of a squirrel, the human race, we'd be overrun, right?
We are pretty close to being overrun now.
Can I just give you guys the stats?
Okay, give us this, because if it was the size of a gerbil, ants are good. They could take us over. I'm just saying.
I just want to let you all know. I'm not sure how many zeros this is. You're gonna have to tell me, Allan. For every human on Earth, there are an estimated to be about 2.5 million ants, or 20 quadrillion in total.
Yeah.
So think about that. What if they were?
We're done.
Yeah,
well,
I was amazed with, and they're all underneath our feet. They are getting into our homes. These are not to be taken lightly.
Well, if you get down into tropical areas that have different varieties of what they call army ants.
Oh yeah.
When the ant army comes marching through, you just get out of the way.
Yeah.
And they'll come through and they'll clean all of the pest out of your village. You just move, get out of the way. They'll come stomping through. They'll take all the cockroaches and scorpions and things you don't want to live with them, and gone down the road. And once they pass through, the people move back in. So
it just makes me think of like a band of mercenaries, like that no one talks about. It's like, we have an understanding.
Yeah.
It's like when they show up, we get out of the way and they do their thing. Ants are resilient. When I found out that the largest single ant colony in the world covers somewhere around, I think at last estimate was 120 miles long.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
A single ant community, a single colony is in the Mediterranean. I think it's in Spain, wraps around most of the coast.
Yeah.
It's one ant colony. So be nice to be, don't tick them off. It's going to be my advice.
But here was my thing, though, because, I'm all about the balance and everything like that. Obviously, ants serve a purpose you don't just want to wipe them out, right? We need ants. We don't want to just destroy them. So I guess I'm wondering what the positive benefits are. I feel like maybe they till the soil, or I don't know. What do they do?
Well, all right. From a purely home improvement point of view, carpenter ants are a dead giveaway. You've got a problem.
Yeah. We know that. That means you have water.
It means you have water damage. And when everybody goes, well, the ants chewed up my house. Well, they didn't. The ants took advantage of the fact that you had rotting wood, and it was easy to tunnel into. So the ants, in a roundabout sort of way, were waving a red flag at your property, going, guys, we moved in up here. You probably want to check that.
Right.
Different ants do different things. Of course, being from Texas, The invasive species, the fire ant, is just absolutely miserable. You do not want those. I know they're in the Mid-South now these days.
Well,
So they're very aggressive. They're carnivorous. They sting. They bite. They're pretty miserable. However, your indigenous species, all do serve purposes.
They eat dead animals, right?
They
get
clean
rid of
stuff up, and
right.
certain ants are even farmers. They raise funguses and stuff like that. Your leafcutter ants
Right.
and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay.
So, ants are out there, but be careful. Be careful with the critters.
I'm just impressed with the gripping ability of this ant.
The strong is crazy with them.
Yeah, they're. I mean, that's the thing. They can lift 10 times their body weight. They're whatever. So, but anyway, I just wanted to point that out because I just found that very, very interesting. And like I said, it got me thinking. My science fiction brain went to what would it take for them to take over?
Not much.
So Douglas Adams would have had fun with that.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, Alan, let's get to this because it's not very complicated, but let's get to our must-have item of the week.
Okay.
Oh, I'm holding it up to the camera, but I think my camera's off, Max. So anyway, Alan, you can hold it up, but tell people, I suppose, what you're holding up. So I didn't tell you the length. I'll just tell you.
It's quite all right. It is just a good old-fashioned packing strap.
Yeah.
Got your nice little hooks there on the end. Actually, very good. Good bungee. Good, nice and stretchy.
It's a 48-inch flat belt bungee cord.
Yeah.
Bungee cords are the bomb. I mean, they're cheap. They get the job done. I like the flat belt, though, Alan, because I don't know why. I feel like for one thing, you get a better grip. I feel like it's stronger. It can get into tighter surfaces because the hook has got a flat. Sometimes those hooks have like a round kind of,
Yep, I like that style.
Yeah, and I think this was $4.
Yeah.
So keep a good supply of bungee cords in the house. They'll get the job done, and I don't know, they serve a multitude of purposes. And if you destroy one, go buy another one. Who cares?
Yeah, it's a very inexpensive, but it's that third hand.
Yeah.
Or it's that somebody riding in the back of the truck holding something.
Mm-hmm.
I move a lot of plants, a lot of lawnmowers and stuff around, so I actually have a little network of those in the back of my truck as to who I'm trying to hold where.
And if you're kind of a rookie with bungee cords, just keep in mind, if you yank this thing really hard and you didn't, if you get snapped with a bungee cord, it'll hurt.
Yeah.
It'll take out an eye. These things are not to be taken lightly.
Yeah, be careful.
They'll leave a welt, but bungee cords are a great. Now, I wonder who invented that. I guess that deserves its own deal.
Well, the whole bungee cord thing is a gradual evolution of tie downs and straps and all kinds of goodies.
They're rubber, right? I mean, the rubber on the inside.
Well, that's got the modern version of latex.
Okay.
Is in there. So
okay, gotcha.
And the true bungee cord is of, I mean, gosh, the uses go everything from recreationally jumping off a bridge.
Yeah, let's not do that one with this one. Yeah, if you're going to jump
Just
off a
trapping
bridge,
stuff down.
you're going to need something bigger than the 48-inch strap. But anyway, all right, well, this is going to be interesting. It's actually going to be a very wide-ranging conversation when we come back here. In our Great Moments in Building History, we're going to talk about the oldest baseball stadium in Japan.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
There's an exposed wire above the bathtub as well.
Oh, yeah, shock wire. I call it that because if you take a shower and you touch the wire, you die.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Allan, where does code enforcement land on shock wire? Do you think?
I think we know right where they landed.
Okay.
No.
How about if it's at a jail?
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, that's nice, man.
Oh,
Gosh.
man, even
Max
worse.
is sick. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And don't forget, you can also send us pictures, tasteful pictures, or pictures of your home improvement triumphs, or if you got a really unique tool, or, just something maybe, I don't know, that you're especially proud of, send it to us. Send us a picture, and we'll be sure to post it at the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page. So, all right. Well, Max, I've been looking forward to this discussion all day.
And now, great moments in building history.
All right. Well, Allan has been a very good sport about this. I mean, he's well. In fairness, you said you were a baseball umpire, and that soured your love of the game. You don't have the same feelings I do.
Nope.
And I've never been an umpire, and honestly, there's nothing appealing about that job. That job looks miserable to me.
Yep, you do. Yeah.
Either you're perfect. If you're perfect, nobody notices, and if you're not, everybody hates you. So
yeah, it'll make you not like something.
But anyway, this has to do with but see, there's a lot of home improvement applications. There's a lot of good design principles involved in this, and I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Max. You'll correct me. Today we're going to talk about the oldest baseball stadium in Japan. It was built in 1924, the Hanshin Koshien Stadium.
Hanshin Koshien Stadium.
Okay, close. It's the home of the Hanshin Tigers. It's the Japan's premier pro baseball team. However, what's interesting about this, it wasn't built necessarily for them. It was built because in Japan, boy, do they take their high school sports seriously. This was all about finding a home for their the national tournaments for high school students. They do it up big out there, and there's a few points I want to point out. There are undeniable similarities between some famous stadiums like Giant Stadium back in the day, not the new one, the one back in when they were in New York, or I can't remember if they're in New York or New Jersey, but also Wrigley Field. There are a lot of very good design principles, and you can't help but marvel in the fact that they built this whole thing in 5 months. I mean, it's pretty insane.
They were very motivated. I mean, there's absolutely, there's no doubt about it. However, I will say that this particular stadium does follow along with today's theme, since you talked about building inspections and code enforcement and being designed and built to withstand, your environment and meet modern codes.
Right.
So in spite of the fact that, we go back to August 1st, 1924 on this, of when the big earthquake hit in 1995, they did have some cracks appear and they did lose part of their stands, but fundamentally the entire stadium held together.
And
that was 1924 construction in 1995.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is, so if you go back in time, right around I think baseball in Japan goes back to the 1800s. They were very enthralled with baseball, just like America was. And the head of the Hanshin Electric Railway Company, Misaki, how do you say his name, Max? Misaki Shizo. He was the managing director. Anyway, he was a big baseball fan, and he wanted to basically build a stadium. They'd been to America. They saw Yankee Stadium. They saw Giant Stadium. They saw all these stadiums, Wrigley Field, of course, and they wanted something like that for Japan, for the growing popularity of baseball. And like I said, they said in 1923 they decided to do it, and they had this thing built by 1924 in 5 months. And I wanted to say one thing. This is a very beautiful stadium. It's very symmetrical. I'm not just saying this, Alan, but Wrigley Field is considered to be one of the most beautiful stadiums in the world too, and it's got the same kind of symmetry. I think there's something to be said for that. It's you also pointed out that they had to think about a lot of things like the fact that they're in a flood zone. They're monsoons, earthquakes, they get a lot of rain, and you have to be able to drain that. And they had really kind of a state-of-the-art drainage system too.
Well,
and I mean,
it is a dirt, more or less it is a dirt facility.
Yeah.
Of 1924, you weren't putting in AstroTurf, So this was really designed to not be a swamp.
Right.
You could, you're going to bring in 50,000 people. You got to take the weight. You got to take into getting them in and getting them out effectively. You got to be able to drain it. You got to be able, and the field has to look good. I mean, you can't just have a big old dirt field out there.
Right.
You know, so you're talking about the horticulture, you're talking about the drainage, you're talking about weight management. You're also looking at the aesthetics. You know, just basically, is it pretty?
You want to feel.
look?
You want to feel good when you go in there. People are going to pay money to go to this, and if they go in and it doesn't feel, it's not an inviting environment, you're not going to be in business. So, but there's that aspect to it. The one thing that's odd is the infield. The entire infield is dirt, and I was wondering about that, and they said they did that because they didn't think they could keep up with the landscaping. I didn't know that keeping some grass growing in Japan was such a big challenge, but why is that, Alan?
Well, keeping that much grass growing and looking good is a challenge anywhere. One of our favorite bad movies forever was Caddyshack, and half of the movie was all about the grounds.
Right.
You know, how do we keep it looking good? How do we keep it there? Because in Japan, in this particular area, and in many ways, it mimics Memphis. We just had a week of rain.
Right.
We did. We had a lot of rain. It's rained quite a bit. Well, starting Monday, we may have 7, 8, 9, 10 days of no rain.
Right.
So the trick is, how do you get rid of the water when you have excess water? And how do you put water back in when you need the water?
Right.
So, you're looking at basically dirt and really managing a delicate balance, because not only does it have to look good, not only does it have to grow, it also has to withstand the use of the game.
Well, they put a lot of effort into groundskeeping from the time it was built, and it really shows. Apparently, there's an entire, I don't know what you'd call it, fan base of the groundskeepers out there.
Yes.
They're like, because these guys, it's like a well-oiled machine, but also they keep it from flooding. They keep and in Japan, if it starts drizzling or raining, they don't just necessarily stop the games.
Nope.
Unless it's like lightning and everything, they power through.
And not only that, but games can end in a draw.
Yeah, they have a little bit of a different way of doing it, but still the weather, because of the the nature of it. But the groundskeeping from the beginning was a focus, and I guess that's why the stadium is still there, because if it wasn't, it could be it could be a washout, like literally. But
well, anytime you have a large commercial space like this, you have so many conflicting needs.
Right.
Because everybody wants to see it. Everybody has to be there. And I hate to say this, but you really have to take into account, when you're building a home or anything, the weight of the home and the people. Because you're going to go throw 40,000 people in a stadium. Well, let's say there's an average weight of 150 pounds per person.
Right.
That's a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Now, concentrated in a very small area.
And they're moving. Yeah.
So, welcome to code enforcement. Welcome to really understanding what you're designing and building for.
Well, when you walk into Hanshin Koshien Stadium, you get a reaction. There's an emotional, you feel something, and it's a very beautiful space to be in. It's perfectly suited for what it's there for, to celebrate baseball. It's very functional. It's a great design concept, and there's a lot of lessons we can learn for home improvement in this. That's what I kind of wanted to shift to when we come back from the break. But I do want to say something that's kind of, I don't know if it's shocking for me or it's just something. Well, Alan, one of the noteworthy things about the stadium is in 1924, right when they built the stadium, they put ivy growing up the outside of the. Now it's not growing on the inside, but
right.
Okay, well, Alan, they didn't put ivy in Wrigley Field till 1937.
Right.
I have to wonder if they stole the idea here. So I thought we were the first, but I guess we're not. So.
No, we usually aren't.
Okay, so we're gonna deal with that when we come back here on Tool Talk Radio.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Good news, everyone! Someone's home is on fire!
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
All right, now Max is just trolling us. I mean, everything got to be violence and destruction today, Max? I don't know what your problem is.
I think that's just all my reach orders.
Okay.
Some degree of destruction.
No kidding. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. You can also interact with us at the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page, like some of our listeners have been doing. They've been having a couple of little quick back and forths with some of the listeners interested in the construction we're talking about today in our Great Moments in Building History, the Hanshin Koshien Stadium, which I keep probably mispronouncing, right, Max? But
I'm just going to stop correcting you.
Okay. Anyway, it's the oldest baseball stadium in Japan, built in 1924. Baseball is huge in Japan. I mean, today some of our best players are in major leagues come from Japan, and there's a great, very rich history, with that. So we're talking about that, but there's also some really great home improvement lessons to learn from that, and that's what we're going to circle back to in just a minute. Before we do that, though, we want to talk about our good buddy Jay Hill with Big M Roofing and Remodeling, because he's another, Allan, he is another person that puts a lot of thought into, well, for one thing, the exterior protection of your home, but it's not just about function, it's also about design.
Oh, yes.
This needs to look good. You need cool gutters. You need a beautiful roof. You need nice windows. You need the siding. So everything beautifies, but it also is functional and it protects your home. So there's nobody better to call than our good buddy Jay Hill with Big M Roofing and Remodeling. We especially love to lean into his great roofing work because he's always 5 stars with the Better Business Bureau. He is a GAF Master Elite Installer. You don't just say, hand me those GAF shingles and put them up. These are roofing systems that they're installing.
Yes.
There's a lot of thought and a lot of technology that went into making these roofs the way they work, and that's why they can offer lifetime transferable warranties on these roofs. You and I have a Big M roof on our home. We had a horrible rain the other day. Not a drop, Allan. It's such a great feeling when you're sitting there and that rain is just coming down, and it's like, do your worst. But anyway, also what sets Jay apart is the fact that he's a former insurance agent. That is hugely helpful because if you have any damage to the outside of your home, for one thing, it might affect more than just the outside of your home. But also, if there's damage that needs to be covered by your homeowner's insurance, that's a very difficult process to navigate. And really, you do need an advocate. And Jay is your advocate for that. He should be the first person you call. He has the expertise, and the consultation is free. So you have Jay over there. He gives you he lets you know what the situation is, if you have a path forward. And one thing you will notice immediately when Jay shows up to talk is the optimism and the excitement that comes to the situation, which that means a lot to me, Allan. And they have a great business culture. They are the first ones you should call with any of your anything for the exterior protection of your home. And Jay encourages you to call them directly. You can call them at 901-484-5645 or go to bigmroofingandremodeling.com. So, Allan, in our Great Moments in Building History, we've been talking about the Hanshin Koshien Stadium. A lot of people just call it the Koshien Stadium. I do want to say something. It harkens back to now. They there is no doubt about it. They the builder of the stadium, Misaki Shizo, Max, okay, whatever. Okay,
I'm gonna stop correcting you.
He was a big fan of baseball, and he wanted to model this after the He wanted to get the aesthetics when it came to like Yankee Stadium or Wrigley Field or Giant Stadium. So this stadium is situated in. There's not a giant parking lot around it. It's situated in a neighborhood, just like a lot of the classic stadiums. It's very symmetrical. It's very beautiful. It's got a lot of design and good design choices. It's also functional. It gets the people. It seats at this. I think it's 47,000 now after different remodels. But Also, it's multi-purpose. They have other types of events there, but he was really concerned about making it a focal point and something beautiful. But one thing that's noteworthy about the stadium is it's evolved over the years. It looks it obviously they've got electric scoreboards. They have a lot of things, but it's maintained the spirit of the structure. And I think for our home, I think it's important when we do home improvements to, keep the personality of your home, if you can. I mean, if it's worth keeping, I guess. But there's an art to that. You can't just. I can tell you who did it wrong. Soldier Field destroyed they did improvements, and it looks like the Flintstones crossed over with the Jetsons, and it's the ugliest stadium in the NFL. I'm sorry. I mean, I grew up there. They did it wrong, but Koshien Stadium did it right. And I don't know. I think there's lessons to be learned from that. Like, how do you keep the personality of a space, I suppose? So,
Well, you get into one with how do you define the personality of the space? And, of course, I'll pick on Max for a second. Max loves to start at brutalism and work his way forward and for building styles. And, what does that mean from home ownership? Well, we have everything these days from a classic Tudor to a cottage to barn-dominiums. We've got a little bit of everything out there.
Right.
And so when you look at the basic structure, the next thing that happens is the landscaping. What's the curb appeal? What's going on in this property? And when you look at a commercial property, commercial properties often spend a little more time and money worried about how they look, what their first appearance is. But if you look at your home from that exact same point of view, what is adding or detracting from the personality that you want your home to portray?
Right.
And I'm never a fan of cutting down a tree, but I am a huge fan of removing inappropriate vegetation and redoing a property correctly.
Well, if it's always a problem, yeah.
I hate to say, I see this all the time, and this stadium right here is actually a great example looking at the picture of it because it was specifically designed to be open and unconstrained.
Yeah,
so
it's definitely open.
You're
open to the sky.
Very open. But not only does it look open like that, it isn't trapped. Mm-hmm. Somebody didn't put something too close.
Right.
And I see this all the time in homes and commercial buildings. Well, we're building the house and we want it to look really, really good immediately. So we're going to go buy these cute little bushes and nobody's going to pay any attention to what their final size is.
Right.
They look good now. But they're going to crack your foundation. They're going to get under your wall. They're going to block the view from a window. And when you look at something so carefully manicured as this, it really brings up, what are you trying to say with your property? What are you trying to say with your house? Do you just cut the grass? Or do you have something of interest? Or today we get a huge amount into removing invasive species and rewilding. And that does not mean stop cutting the grass.
Well, go ahead, Max. I had something I wanted to throw out there. But
I was just saying this whole argument also makes me think of the idea of the ship of Theseus.
Like what? Okay.
I'm like preserving the essence of preserving the essence of a thing even after you constantly replace it. Is it still that same structure?
Well, that's a good way to think of it. Well, I guess here's what I was going for. When you talk about the spirit of a construction, every place has its own, you could say, I don't know, or it's got its own characteristics. Like, for example, this one of the characteristics here is they have ivy growing up the side of the the building on the outside. They have all dirt infield. That's sort of noteworthy. Well, our homes have the same thing. I'm thinking of like It's a Wonderful Life. Remember George Bailey? Mm-hmm. Every time he went up the stairs, the little knob came off of the newel post and everything. Yes. Well, if the Baileys did some remodeling, I would hope they don't get rid of that. I hope maybe he fixes it so it works, but that newel post is a central feature of their home. There's stories behind that newel post. So our homes probably have important things that maybe we don't think about as important until we start saying, well, we can't get rid of that because that's where the kids sat for their whatever. So maybe it's interesting to, and maybe there is no rhyme or reason to what constitutes the spirit of a home. Maybe it's all about the stories or the importance that those features have for you. But, there is something to be said for modernizing and maintaining, though. It's a real balance, I think.
Well, but again, I'm going to go back to what is your lifestyle today?
Right.
What will it be? And the other thing I'm going to throw in, now see, again, I'm picking on this stadium. This stadium has a purpose.
Right.
Its purpose is well defined and doesn't really change from decade to decade. However, in your home or the home you're living in currently, because some people move every few years and some people move in like a tick and don't ever move.
Right.
But about every 7 to 10 years, your world has changed and your needs have changed.
Yep, that's true.
So, there's
you got to change with the times.
Well, we're kind of tying back into, do you have a good computer chair? How does that driveway look?
Right.
Are you meeting the needs of both the aesthetics and maintenance of your property?
Yep. Well, the Koshien Stadium is definitely a great moment in building history. Go down the rabbit hole, check it out on YouTube, and if you ever get to Japan, by all means, visit the stadium.
Beautiful.
But, all right, well, we've got more to get to here here on Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Brought to you by Blaze of Glory Septic Tank Removal Service. Did you know that the gases inside of your septic tank are highly explosive? Where others see a safety hazard, we see an opportunity. At Blaze of Glory Septic Tank Removal Service, we'll get rid of your old septic tank so fast that you and your surrounding neighbors won't know what hit you. Blaze of Glory Septic Tank Removal Service. We'll leave you with a smoking crater in your yard and memories that will last a lifetime.
Now, we're talking about the spirit of a home, Allan. Do you leave the smoking crater?
No.
Fill it in or whatever. Okay. I got to admit, they have a you talk about a dynamic business culture over there. I don't know. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and the just weird Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. We also invite you to go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page and check out the many posts we've made over there. I wanted to circle back. It's funny, there is a slight, I'm looking at my notes here. During the show, I always take some notes, and I'm seeing sort of themes that are emerging. At the top of the show, if you're just tuning in, we talked to Kate Robinson, who is a high school student from Crosstown High. Her and a group of other students got together, and they're making they're going to be finishing it today, a mural at the underpass over there at Central and Cooper. And if you want to go check it out, it's a really neat thing. It's a really neat project they're doing, and they're just good kids, and the whole faculty over there. We love what they're doing. But Allan, when I was over there, it's funny the experience you get when you're walking versus driving and everything. I've driven under this underpass 1,000 times, but when I don't think I've ever walked underneath it because I don't live in that area. Well, what you notice is the really interesting steel work. With the rivets and the I-beams and everything. It's interesting just in and of itself. The architecture of that is cool. And we have that all over the Mid-South, and I know all other cities do. But one thing that I noticed, and it's true with the Hanshin Stadium, it's true here in the Mid-South, some of my favorite constructions are I would say there's an element that's sort of primal. There's a lot of wood, metal, stone, and plants incorporated together. And to me, that's as primal as it gets. But there's something about that combination that I've always found interesting. You know what I mean? Like,
I do. When you are looking at landscaping a property and about a week and a half ago, I got asked to re-update a landscape that had been allowed to fall to the side.
Okay.
And it featured all of the above. It has a metalwork centerpiece.
Mm-hmm.
Another part of it is a stonework fountain. And just kind of left on their own, they just kind of looked, Yeah. Yeah, they were okay, but, nothing really, nothing really grabbed you about it. Right.
Yeah.
And, a little bit of weed killer, a whole lot of mulch.
Yeah. And then
added a little color, put in the proper flowers. And, all right, for very actually shockingly little money and a day's worth of work, now it looks spectacular.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think there's something to be said too that you don't necessarily have to paint over everything too. I mean, if you've got some metal, and even if it's got a little rust on it, as or a stone or wood, why not just let it be? It can be a really cool aesthetic.
A little shabby chic and not looking brand new has a definite appearance.
Yeah.
In furniture, we call that distressing.
Right.
You take something new and make it look old. There's just a lot of. Sometimes you just got to go walk around it for a minute and have a little imagination, and then go visit the. Whoever you're going to use to update this, whether it's your big box store and some plants and some mulch, or maybe you want to add something of interest to it. But this is the front of your house, the back of your house, and especially this time of year, I'm going to point out that where you grill becomes a huge centerpiece of your home.
Oh, yeah.
How you set stuff up out there really has a lot to do with the backyard experience of getting outside and, cooking a little food, having a nice dinner, just the whole aesthetic of getting out. And this weekend is especially about that.
Sure.
There's going to be a whole lot of grilling. There's going to be a lot of charcoal. And I'm going to tell people, all right, one, be very safe. Do not grill in the carport. Do not, you see people do crazy stuff. First off, be safe. Make sure you know what you're doing. And second, maybe do a little art eyeballing. Get a little aesthetic to it. Can we move it over here? Do we need to put down some pavers? What can we do to really improve the flow, the ergonomics or the feng shui of what we're actually doing?
It's funny you say that because some of the best improvements that I've seen, it's just adding, like you said, adding some stone or adding a metal sculpture. But pavers are great if you use them correctly and if you put them down well. And man, it's not an expensive improvement, but man, does it make a difference. You get yourself a little 10 by 10 paver kind of deck or something out there.
Area out there, yeah.
I love those. Pavers are great, man. And you can move them, and if they break, you go get another one.
Well, yeah, it's not that you got to go spend a ton of money. It's like people for your computer and your computer desk. Go get a good chair. Get a proper chair. Save yourself some back pain.
Right.
Make sure, and another thing I'm going to throw in, for heaven's sake, if you're going to be in the backyard, you're going to be doing a lot of stuff this weekend, make sure you've got a decent little folding table. Yeah, that sounds like the dumbest advice in the world, but when you're really busy trying to do stuff, just having a lightweight, sturdy, trustworthy little table that you can move around and have a place to do your work makes a huge difference to how the day turns out.
Yeah, you're all about tables and carts and holsters and things.
Oh, yeah. Well, don't get me started on, my spatulas and, my grill setup. But,
Well,
that's a whole show by itself.
Hey, Alan, before we get out of here, sometimes we don't plug what we're up to. So what are you up to with Dark Oak Media?
Well, Dark Oak Media is about to have a bunch of new seasons kick off, so there will be new upcoming shows featuring, it came from the international market and some other wonderful things. The biggest thing right now is, of course, we are seeing a huge surge around the world for Tool Talk Radio and Geek Tank Radio as podcasts.
Now, what does that mean? What countries are we?
Well, hello Finland, hello New Zealand, Australia. The biggie was Finland. I'm just loving the idea that somebody up there in Finland is sitting around listening to us whine about the hot, wet Mid-South while they're up there in Finland, possibly playing with 4 feet of snow or the Northern Lights or whatever's going on this time of year.
Yeah, we're complaining that it's 30 degrees out, and they're like,
they're like, what do you see? -50. Yeah.
Well, it's great that there's people around the world listening, but folks, we'd love to hear from you.
Oh, yes.
Send us a text or send us a Facebook message. We'd love to know, and especially to learn what's interesting too is just when you learn all the different home improvement challenges depending on where you live in the world or where it's different everywhere you go. And I would love to know what they're dealing with,
Oh, yeah. Well,
what are their invasive species?
Well, when your frost line is 4 feet, not 18 inches.
Right.
That's kind of serious.
Yeah. So go to darkoakmedia.com. And actually, if you're a content creator and you make interesting things, you never know. Alan might put you on TV.
I can do that.
But, folks, once again, it is Memorial Day weekend, and we encourage you to get out there, especially if you live here in the Mid-South. The cemetery over at Forest Hill, Irene, between 385, you know where it is. You'll find it. Good idea. Get out there, say, thank a veteran, talk to, remember the holiday, but definitely get out and enjoy yourself too. So, but it's also a good day to enjoy a little baseball, Alan. So, okay.
If you got to, you got to. It's
okay.
Right.
I think that's what Max is doing when he gets out of here, right? You're gonna turn on the game?
No.
Okay. What else, Alan? Okay. I'm going to plug my business real quick before we get out of here. If you have any, if you need a deck or a patio or a room addition or anything really for the outside of your home made of wood, give me a call, 901-921-7105, or go to my website, thorshomes.com. All right, Alan, it's time to get out of here, man. It's been another interesting episode. So on behalf of my buddy Alan Gilbreth and our pal Max over there behind the glass, I'm Joe Thorderson. Thanks for listening to Tool Talk Radio, and we'll see you next week.